Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're bringing together two worlds that usually live in totally different universes: hardcore academic financial management and the behavioral psychology of leadership. Think about it, right? You can have the most brilliant financial model in the world, but it's absolutely useless without a motivated team to execute it. On the flip side, a highly fired up team is going to crash and burn without a solid financial bedrock beneath them. Today, we're connecting the money to the mission. So here's our roadmap. We'll start with the foundations of financial management, then move into maximizing profit and wealth, explore the essence of leadership, look at navigating leadership styles, and finally, wrap it all up with creating a shared vision. Let's jump right in. Part 1. Foundations of Financial Management. The analytical head of the organization. When we talk about financial management, it really isn't just about hoarding cash. It is the operational lifeline of your business. J.F. Brantley defines it perfectly as the judicious use of capital to actually enable an organization to hit its goals. Basically, it's applying strict management principles to your money so that every single dollar you spend is pushing you in the right direction. Without this, organizations fund the wrong things, run out of gas, and literally never reach their mission. Think of financial management as the steering wheel for your resources. If nobody's steering, well, the car just drifts right off the road. And that day-to-day reality for a finance manager, it is an endless, incredibly high-stakes balancing act. On one hand, you're staring at complex charts and multi-year forecasts. But on the other, you've got the immediate, everyday reality of keeping the lights on, making payroll, paying vendors, upgrading tech. The golden rule here is making sure that the returns from any investment are way higher than what it actually cost you to get that money in the first place. Every single day, finance leaders are making these tiny micro adjustments to keep that equation in the green. Actually, the whole massive scope of financial management really just boils down to three core decisions: investing, financing, and dividends. Number one, the investment decision. Where exactly are you putting your money? Are you locking it into long-term assets like a new warehouse, or do you need it for day-to-day working capital? Number two is financing. Where is that cash coming from? Are you taking on debt, or are you bringing in new shareholders? And then, number three, which honestly is often the toughest, the dividend decision. When you finally make a profit, what do you do with it? Do you pay out dividends to keep your shareholders smiling right now, or do you hold on to it to fund future growth? Every single financial choice fits right into one of those three buckets. Section 2. Maximizing profit and wealth. What are we really building? Okay. So there is a massive difference between maximizing profit and maximizing wealth. And getting this wrong is a trap I see organizations fall into all the time. Profit maximization is all about the short term. It's about squeezing resources to make this quarter's earnings look amazing. And sure, on paper, more profit sounds great. But if you only focus on that, you start cutting corners. You slash research and development, you skip maintenance, anything to make the balance sheet pop. Wealth maximization is completely different. It looks at the whole picture. It's about the long-term financial health and the true net worth of the company. It's choosing sustainable, lasting value over a quick cash grab, making sure you're building something that survives for decades, not just until the next earnings call. So we've got our financial foundation in place. But here's the reality check. Mastering those spreadsheets means absolutely nothing without the human element to actually execute the strategy. You could have the most mathematically flawless capital structure ever created, but if you don't have a motivated, aligned team bringing it to life, you're going nowhere. Because at the end of the day, numbers on a page don't build products or help customers, people do. Which brings us to part 3, the essence of leadership, the dynamic heart of the organization. There's this fantastic quote from Warren Bennis: "Managers are people who do things right, while leaders are people who do the right thing." And that just perfectly captures the shift from, just overseeing tasks to truly transforming a vision into reality. Management is largely about process. It's keeping the gears turning and doing things right. But leadership, that's about character, influence, and direction. It's about getting your people to deeply buy into the mission. It means communicating the why, building real trust, and creating a space where people aren't just taking orders, but actively fighting to make a shared goal happen. So let's talk about transformational leadership. It's the most widely accepted leadership theory today, and it completely shatters that old myth that leaders are just born that way. The idea that you either have some magical leadership gene or you don't. Transformational leadership says actually no, anyone can become a leader by learning to empower others. It's a highly active process. A huge part of this is just removing obstacles for your team. You step in, you clear out the corporate red tape, you get them the tools they need, and you actively shield them from distractions. You're not just barking orders, you're cultivating an ecosystem where your team has absolutely everything they need to crush it. Section 4. Navigating leadership styles. Understanding yourself and others.
Now, I want to challenge you as we go through this. Try to spot yourself here. Figuring out how you're wired is step 1. Look at introverts, highly diligent and reflective, right? But they might come off as secretive when teamwork is needed. Extroverts, super open, they act fast, but they can get really impatient with routine tasks or act impulsively. Then you have the thinkers, who are logical and objective, which is great, until they unintentionally trample on someone's feelings. And feelers are amazing at building harmony, but they might struggle to stay organized, or they might base their decisions purely on emotion. Listen, there's no wrong style here, but if you're going to lead a diverse team, you absolutely have to recognize your own blind spots.
Once you know those blind spots, the next move is what we call style flexibility. This is the ability to actively shift your own default behavior to give someone else what they need to succeed. Because on autopilot, you'll just do what feels natural to you. But a true leader looks at their employee and intentionally pivots. It's a 5-step cycle. First, figure out their style. Second, pick the right way to respond. Third, actually do it. But it doesn't stop there. Step 4 is observing. Did they respond well or did they shut down? And step 5, you reassess and tweak your approach. It's just this constant ongoing loop of tuning your wavelength to the person right in front of you. Leadership behavior really exists on a spectrum. On one end, you have authoritative or telling. If there's a sudden crisis, hey, you just need to tell people what to do to stabilize the situation. But as things calm down, you move along the line. Political, or selling, means you make the call, but you take the time to persuade the team on the why. Evaluative is when you propose an idea, test the waters with your experts, and then decide. For a complex, creative project, you might want participative, bringing everyone in from day one. And finally, laissez-faire is when you're just joining an already highly autonomous team as a peer. The secret here? The best leaders don't just pick one style and stubbornly ride it into the ground. They fluidly slide up and down the spectrum depending on the exact situation and the maturity of their team. Ultimately, as a leader, you are a climate setter. Your job is to create balance by removing restraints, so your people feel genuinely free to use their power to achieve the group's goals. You're balancing the harsh reality of those financial metrics we talked about earlier with actual human capacity and well-being. You can't just throw power at someone and expect magic, but you can build a culture where they feel safe taking initiative without the constant fear of being micromanaged. When you strike that perfect balance between driving hard financial results and nurturing your people, your team transforms into independent problem solvers. Section 5. Creating a shared vision, aligning the head and the heart. A great vision statement answers one massive question. Who are we? This is the ultimate unifier. It's where your financial planning and your leadership capacity finally meet. But listen, it cannot just be some empty corporate jargon slapped onto a break room wall. It has to be a real beacon for the future. It needs to present an exciting challenge. And crucially, it has to be short and easy to say. Why? Because if people can't remember it, it literally cannot guide their daily decisions. A punchy, powerful vision is an internal compass. When a manager has to make a sudden budget cut or figure out how to coach a struggling employee, they instantly know what direction to go. A shared vision gives everyone absolute ownership over what you're building together. At the end of the day, merging that analytical head with the dynamic heart is the only real way to turn your vision into a lasting reality. You need the strict financial discipline to build true long-term wealth, and you need the transformational leadership to adapt to your team, knock down their roadblocks, and guide them forward. So I'll leave you with this question. Do you have the financial acumen to sustain your organization and the leadership flexibility to actually empower your people? Think about which of those two areas you need to level up today to become the complete leader your organization really needs. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it gives you a fresh, powerful perspective on your work. Catch you next time.